Hello everyone, my name is Beth Edussuriya. This evening is curriculum night at Metro Early College High School. And for those of you who were unable to attend, I'm making this little video so that you don't miss out on any of the cool information about our English 11 class. So just a little bit about me. This is my 11th year in English education. I've also taught reading for several years. This is my 4th year at Metro. It's a school that I feel incredibly proud to be a part of. I feel like I've definitely found my home here. This is a school that I think aligns beautifully with my own personal philosophies on education. I'm so proud to be part of this organization. I'm so pleased that you have brought your children to us. I think it's a great place for them to learn. So in addition to all of that, I am also a mom. I've got 2 young little boys, a 5-year-old and an 8-month-old. My husband is a video producer for Mills, James, and Hilliard. We live in Dublin on the north end of town. But we also have spent quite a bit of time down in Southeast Ohio. So I am a proud OU Bobcat, but happy to have settled here in Central Ohio. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our English 11 course. So our English 11 class follows a loose American literature theme. Obviously, it's taught in a single semester, so we move pretty quickly. We're not going to hit every single literary movement in American literature, but we are going to hit some high points. We're going to start as early as the Declaration of Independence, and we are going to move all the way up through the Great Gatsby, and we're going to hit plenty of stuff in between. So they're gonna see a lot of classic pieces of American literature, but definitely with a contemporary spin to it. Also want to remind you that the work that we're doing here in this course is definitely intended to prepare our students for college level coursework, as that is very naturally going to be one of the next steps for them. So we're nearing the end of their high school English coursework, so we're really focused here on critical analysis of the text. A lot less comprehension focus. We're certainly still supporting them in their comprehension of these texts, as they are quite challenging in many ways, but our focus is really more on understanding how these texts operate and the value and role of these texts within our larger society and culture. So you'll see us engage in tasks like rhetorical analysis, Socratic seminars, and even literary criticism, something that I myself didn't even dip into until I was in college. It's pretty cool. I also want to share with you a metaphor, a running metaphor that we use for this class. We really try to think of our students as workers and myself, the teacher, as a coach. It's really important that our students find that not only personal responsibility in the work that they do, but pride and intrinsic motivation on the work that they do. So we really try to emphasize the idea of work, responsibility to meeting our commitments, taking pride in our work, meeting our deadlines, treating our shared classroom space as a shared workspace. So you may hear me throughout the semester referencing that metaphor, and that's kind of where it stems from. All right, so let me hop up a little overview of our 4 core units here this semester. Right now, we're currently in Unit 1, entitled Revolution and Rhetoric. This is an in-depth study of iconic speeches from throughout American history. We are really focusing in on rhetorical strategies used by some of these great orators, and then once we focus our learning on learning those skills, then we're going to actually put them to work, and the students are going to write their own speeches towards the end of that unit. We're then going to transition into Unit 2, America on Stage, in which we are going to be reading and very carefully and critically discussing The Crucible by Arthur Miller. It's a classic American play, maybe one that you even read in high school yourselves. And as part of that unit, we're going to also study the literary subgenres of allegory, satire, and parody. So we're starting to understand and explore how authors utilize fictional text, not simply to entertain, but also to comment on the larger world around them. Our 3rd unit, entitled Classics Through a critical lens is going to introduce students to the practice of literary criticism, which is a way of looking at texts from multiple different perspectives and vantage points in order to really mine them for different meaning and significance. Now, for that, we're going to use The Great Gatsby as our core text, but we're also going to be exploring several iconic pieces from the Harlem Renaissance as well, which was a literary movement that occurred in the 1920s, similar time periods, or two parallel Americas. Now, our last unit, Unit 4, actually doesn't occur at the very end of the unit. It's going to be happening the end of the semester. It's actually going to be happening all semester long. This is something that we're going to be working on a bi-weekly basis, and this is an ACT prep unit. So it's really valuable information, a lot of information that many people might have to turn to a test prep service or test prep resources for. Instead, we've just decided to build it right into our course. So every other Friday, students will be engaging in a timed ACT English passage, which we will then score together, thoroughly analyze together to make sure we understand why the correct answers are the correct answers, make sure we understand the underlying grammatical concepts, and also very valuably discuss the various strategies used in tackling that text as well. So in terms of tips for success, things that you can do to help your student sort of get a leg up in class, one of the first things is to really stay active on our Schoology page. So whether you are sort of, looking over your student's shoulder at their student view, or whether you want to have access to your own parent portal on Schoology, either way, it's a great way to get visibility to what we're doing in class, the kind of materials we're using, as well as their gradebook. So I update that daily. As soon as I input it into the system, you then have access essentially to everything I have access to. Things you want to look out for as red flags would be zeros or missing assignments, because that would simply indicate that work is not being turned in. Now, if we see maybe lower scores on things, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, that is certainly not a reason to panic. It's simply a communication to the student that we have some work to do. And that is certainly, that's a great place for us to start. The bigger red flag is when we have zeros and missing assignments in the grade book, because that is a suggestion that the work is just not being done and not coming in. And that maybe is a reflection of some work habits that we need to attend to. Another thing to look for are my weekly update emails. I send those every single Friday. It's going to give you a little overview of what we've been doing for the week. Also tip you off to any due dates that might be coming up in class. I also encourage you to support your students in solving some of their own problems as they encounter them and using the resources that they have available. Believe it or not, they have access to more resources than you or I ever did in school. Everything that we use in our class is available on Schoology. That's class PowerPoints and lessons, hyperlinks to resources on the internet, anything you could imagine, they're going to have access there in Schoology. So encourage them that when they kind of run into a little stumbling block, tell them to use those resources, open up that Schoology page, and see if they can't seek the answer to their own question before they reach back out for support. Last but not least, we want to also get them in the habit of communicating openly with their teachers. If they have a need, you are certainly welcome to advocate for them, but I encourage you to also ask or require them to send their own emails on their own behalf. It's a good practice for when they are in college and need to be openly communicating with their professors. Office hours is sort of a similar policy there. I will be offering office hours every Tuesday and Thursday after school. And so we encourage students to participate in those opportunities, because that's where they can really get that one-on-one instruction as needed outside of the school day. All right, so that is sort of my spiel, my broad overview of English 11. If you have any lingering questions, anything that maybe felt unclear, or maybe just something that piqued your interest that you'd like to know a little bit more about, please feel free to reach out either by email or give the school a phone call. My extension is 1331. I look forward to working with your students this year and getting to know you all a little bit better.